So from here on, so hello everybody who's watching from YouTube. We've had a bit of discussion. We've gone through some technical tests, things. This is Invictwitch. Got a colourful cast of characters. I am Elkavash, your storyteller. We have Culture Shock as Arthur Shasta. We have Keltamer as Rala Orich.
Hi there.
We have Paradox as Golden Heron. We have Avis as Emala DeNovo. We have Vero as End. And we have good old plucky hero, Kalis Koda.
Hello! It's me, Plucky Hero.
So thank you everyone for watching and joining us. We're just about to get started with the reading of a pamphlet. Gage's hand has gotten his hands on one of these pamphlets. And Viridian Sky is well known throughout the River Project. Nobody knows they produce these pamphlets and issue them out on.
Okay.
So, the scene will start. You're on the way back from your latest exploit back to Lambert when the pamphlets become available. Finds the Sagacious Hand finds some in. Takes great delight, pulling everyone around and reading it out. Less dramatic persona.
All right. Waiting until everyone is seated, knowing that there's quite a lot of bookworms within the circle of players that we have, not just within the troop itself.
I'd like to cast a charm. Carry on, sorry.
I've got Reverb with you. Is there? Have you got Skycon as well?
Why does it keep happening? Apparently that happened again. Sorry about that.
All right.
There might be a key. There might be a key binder in Skype that's picking up and.
Yeah, I'm checking for things. I can deactivate my microphone in Skype.
Okay.
That's even possible.
With a handful of papers, Sagacious Hand stands on top of one of the chairs that are out for the afternoon meal and clears his throat for Free Speech, issue number 35, on virtue and vice. Throughout Nexus, multiple pamphlets have been placed in locations of great foot traffic by an author known as the Golden Heron, who has courageously, or foolishly, signed their inflammatory works. These works detail the misdeeds of dozens of high-ranking officials within the Nexus arena, dating back for the past 5 decades, which implicate many citizens in illegal and underhanded activities. Most of these crimes target other members of the arena community in what appears to be business conflicts and trade-related deceptions, including drug scandals, bribery, and murder. At this time, we cannot confirm or deny any of the alleged crimes or reveal the names of those implicated, as the Fourth Estate has not had enough time to verify the claims being spread by the Golden Heron. At this point, Sagacious Hand pauses and does the waggling of the eyebrow at the Golden Heron, who is one of his friends. Authorities are removing these papers as soon as they appear, however. Interest and intrigue has been raised, and there is now a market for collectors of the Heron's work, and these underground communities have formed around these items. The quicker they are taken down by the guards, the higher the interest and the price to own an original work. Ooh! Questions have been raised by the public and the police. Who is the Golden Heron? Is this a statement of an ongoing intent and vigilante justice by unmasking others' crimes? Why now? And how was this information acquired? Investigations will continue by the Fourth State, but the only thing known for certain is that those who think their secrets are buried should seriously reconsider their safety. And a question from one author to another: whether true or not, why spread these rumors? Is this some form of retaliation? Justice? Or is this just another side of the underhanded businesses you seem to be uncovering? Tell me your story, Heron. It must be much more interesting than the stories you've already shared. Until next time, readers, Viridian Sky.
I'd like to cast a charm now.
Yes, go for it.
It's I'm gonna say this wrong. Sagacious reading of intent.
That's correct.
Soloing the probe right out the gate.
Give us a quick rundown of the show.
Yeah, the quick rundown of the charm is that after reading a text, I invoke this charm. This allows me to make a wits or charisma or manipulation plus linguistics roll to read intentions of the. That is why do I have to roll if it's automatically successful? Anyways, whatever. In that moment, I instantly learn if the writing indicates any of the author's intimacies and what those intimacies are. This may come across as a clear slant, bias, narrative emotion. It does not reveal the writer's hidden motives behind any work, but it can reveal the absence of any intimacies in the writing, potentially denoting that the work is a forgery, a copy, or that the author didn't believe what they were writing. So I make a roll that's automatically successful. Interesting. But yeah.
Is it a roll against if they're trying to hide their intentions? But you automatically succeed, but then you're like, you can't pierce stuff? I don't know.
I think it's more like a degree of success. So, like, if you succeed,
yeah, I'll just do my roll. I'm gonna max excellency it by.
Okay. This is person less interest spending.
Having read out to everyone the pamphlet, he does in fact pass it around for people to actually look at themselves.
Keyless will try and make sure he's the last one to have a look at it. He will stare at it, and then he will just keep on keeping hold of it.
You okay, Dux? There we go. You've put a space between the two parentheses. Extra space.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice. It doesn't count.
No tens.
Are any of your things doubled?
I skipped channels by a second, so I got 11 successes on that.
All right. And it reveals the intimacies of the role, if relevant.
Yes, or the lack thereof too.
Okay, so you can tell that the questioning nature of this pamphlet is absolutely. This Viridian Sky, whoever they are, they are a neutral observer, simply trying to discover what is going on, find out the request for speaking out is genuine. The whole thing is genuine. It's just a question. It's posing a question to the reader, saying that there's no hint of deception in it anywhere. Is absolutely a genuine argument. And this person only in the truth of the matter and calling you out
All right then. Well, I'll make a perfect copy of said pamphlet with
Push to talk. Ducks, push to talk. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Now we can.
Now.
Something keeps happening with my Skype. I'm not sure what's going on.
And now it's doing it again.
That's it all now.
Yeah, I did it again.
Technical difficulties on the first session. Who would have known?
Did you right-click on speakers? Did you do right-click on the speaker thing and like disable the communications detection box?
Muted myself in Skype, so I shouldn't have any Skype sound. I think it's just because my PDF file reader is fucking is exploding on my character sheet.
Careful with the language.
Yeah, I caught myself there. Sorry.
It is flagged mature content, so okay. But
I will do my best. Yeah.
all right. So just to set the scene a little bit, this pamphlet has directly referenced some things that happened in these characters' backgrounds. So this is the first session that we've played. But we have discussed what has happened just prior to this session. So to set the scene, there is an enormous procession. The 5 giant mechanical caravans moving along across the Nazi Straits, followed by about 50 other wagons of about stories. Enormous train of a circus ring. All run by the sagacious hand. So just very quickly for the viewers, if we could just quickly go around, Sagacious Hand, if you could set the scene for us, just let us know where we are and what we are doing. You're probably encamped somewhere just outside the village. Just give us a quick visual of your giant procession, and then we'll just go around each of the characters and everyone describe themselves and give reference to how they look, what we are. Because we've got a few of our characters are the opposite gender of the player who is playing them. So that could become confusing.
Okay. While I get up the names of them. Okay. Sagacious Hand is the what could be considered the ringmaster of a travelling show called the Ebullient Excelsior. There is acrobatics, there is sword swallowing, there is fire twirling. A lot of it is song and dance and colour and just this amazing moving marvel that is the main parts of this of the Excelsior are there are 3-story large what could be termed land ships. They are powered by people. They are giant marionettes. The leader of the pack of them is the pachyderm of patient prosperity, and it is pulling behind it the Archelion of ambrosial acclaim, which is a giant turtle with a nautilus shell, and that is the restaurant and carousel. There is also the arachnid of ascended arbors, which is again an incredibly large man-powered 8-legged moving contraption. There is the Kirin of quintessential caliber, which has enough mechanical steels and bolts and stuff, and also can breathe flame to an extent. It ends up being mostly smoke, and it's not. None of these are weapons. It is all showmanship. The pachyderm being able to raise its trunk, to raise its leg, Each one can carry about 50 people. It takes minimum, say, 10 to 20 people to be physically moving these things, as they are giant puppets. The rest of the wagons, as Elkavash described, are like 2 stories. There's the entire group of the Excelsior moves from town to town, spending about a week in each place. There is plenty of advertisement beforehand before they arrive, and there is 4,000 members of this organization, at least 1,300 of which are performers. And all of it has this rotating spectacles. Even moving from one town to another is a grand display of extravagance and showcasing everything. 1 second. No, out please. Showcasing the wonders of the 5 directions of creation. Sagacious Hand himself looks to be somewhere in his 30s. Whenever asked about his age, he actually just honestly cannot remember. It stopped mattering, and because he times everything around show times instead. He has red hair that's a bit messy from all the acrobatic displays that he jumps around doing. Bright blue-green eyes. Wears quite a lot of silks and jewels and bling. That verges on a mockery of the upper class, but it hasn't quite hit that level yet. And he'd like to keep that way of a bit of treading the line. So where you would be sitting in the movements is either on top of the pachyderm, being able to have a wonderful view of the city as we travel in style towards the next location. Or if we have stopped for the evening, it's probably around one of the campfires with the chefs bringing the food of the evening. There's people practicing, doing the acrobatic displays. You can hear songs as the choirs. It is basically a traveling city. And I think I answered all the questions just then.
Yeah, I'm just
posting
a quick link in chat. The Edlin Excelsior. Inspired by Isle of Machine. Link down to get out. Performance. I have the privilege of actually going and looking at it, but there's lots of clips online that's formed the basis of it.
If you look up the Royal Deluxe, I'll try and put a link in there a little later as well. That is where we first found this all stemmed from me seeing an image of a Kirin, which is Sagacious Hand's anima banner. A Kirin in a giant mechanical fight against the Arachnid. And so I built it from there. Just excuse me, I need to ask our little one to please leave the room.
So that's sort of the scene. It's this enormous procession. It moves slowly but steadily. It's like a giant fleet of ships being manually rowed by oar. So these people trade shifts, and the Sagacious Hand, the leader of the group. Do we get a description of Sagacious Hand stuff?
Yes. The short of it is red-headed, blue-green eyes. He's quite athletic and dexterous, but not. He doesn't particularly show off his strength, as opposed to what we would soon be seeing with Kalis. So he's a slim, healthy figure, always perfectly groomed. Like the perfume, the silks, the always clean except for the mess of red hair. There's no point trying to fix it when you're doing backflips all the time. Oh, and he is a man of 30 plus years, and so he has a beard that has grown in. Again, impeccably groomed.
Golden Heron, you were the next act in the scene. Would you mind giving us a... People can come to get to know you.
Hello?
Sorry, that was me. Well, Golden Heron is a lady, a young lady, about 22 years old. I'm sorry, I'm answering the right question, right, at this point?
Yeah. Just quickly.
Yeah, great. Sorry, I was sidetracked for a second. I need to be better about that. But, yeah, so yeah, she's a young lady, about 22 years old, very much unsure of herself. She's not used to the whole outside world thing. Most of her life has been very much sheltered in a land of learning and books. So everything out there is, it's just new to her, and she's a very naive young girl. Even just the escapades in Nexus recently were, well, probably part of the reason why she was willing to just go so far out there and call everyone out on everything that possibly was because she had a very naive outlook of the world. I mean, killing people is wrong, and you shouldn't have corruption in your governments. And honestly, just the sheer amount of it would have been shocking to her. So it was very natural for her to just call out on everything that there was, and she was happy to tag herself in every message and every note. Though she doesn't know how she feels about her messages now being auctioned off for vast amounts of gold, but I suppose that's part of the reasons why she, it's part of the reasons she's learning about this world. As for her appearance, she's a very unkempt lady. She's got just beyond shoulder length, long brown hair that is completely unkempt. It is a mess. It probably hasn't been washed, like ever, if ever. And she doesn't even wear much for. Well, I mean, she wears clothes, but like what she wears itself isn't anything special. It's nothing more than just tattered brown cloak and robes. Emphasis on the tattered. It's almost as if she's never even considered her appearance at any point in time. Her glasses, however, no glasses, just in case that was it. She carries around with her a ridiculous sized. Normally, she struggles to carry until she starts writing in it, in which case she seems to open it perfectly to the exact page that she wants, like, just holding it in her hand, just like ridiculously perfectly, which is completely opposite to where normally she lugs it around as if it's this massive, huge, unbearingly heavy weight. Other than that, she has a small bag full of scrolls. Any questions I'm particularly missing on it? I don't have quite as an extravagant of answer as Sagacious Hand here.
No, that's okay.
Overall.
Less of an extravagant person. The one question I would have is, how do you feel about what Viridian...
Giddy. Well, a bit of it giddy and a little bit unsettled. She's giddy with excitement that she's already made such an impact with her work, and she feels that she must have made her teachers proud. However, at the same time, again, she doesn't know how to feel about her pieces being auctioned off for money and being so valuable. They weren't intended to be get-rich-quick schemes for anybody. It was just simply meant to call out on the vast amounts of corruption and chaos within the leaders of Nexus itself, to showcase that there is bountiful. Actually, grammar is bad here. Far too many things wrong with just the government in Nexus itself, and that's just one very big city.
Okay. Next we have Tarala Oric.
All right, Tarala. I am also one of the other players that is playing a gender different from myself. So Tarala is a young girl, early teens. She's got a she's I wouldn't say slight of frame, more lean. But that's what you get when you make your performance activity gymnastics and basically ribbon dancing through ribbon dancing trapeze. She has her hair has been growing in since she left home. It's now about shoulder, a little bit about shoulder length, usually kept into a bun in the back or a ponytail to keep it out of her face. It is, when she's not in costume, red-orange, with and she herself has continuously flushed skin. Her eyes are pale blue, and she probably stands the shortest of anyone in this core crew, just a little under 5 feet. Ever so slightly that. What she tends to wear the changes day to day based on what performance is, what show she is putting on. So she's got different costumes for different events, and when she's off, she might be seen carrying off with her as she rides off on a horse to some secluded area. She will be seen with on her back a large wrapped, looks like a sword. Sure, I can get anything else out of there. She definitely carries herself like she knows how to behave among nobility, but she also clearly has a distaste for some of the more noble pursuits, being a bit of a tomboy.
We want to learn anything a little bit about Tarala, or do you want to hold that in the background?
I'm gonna hold on to that for now.
Okay. Next up, we have Afra Shasta, and yes, that is the correct pronunciation.
Yes, it is.
Could
my
you
character.
say their last name?
Oh, I can. So Arthur Shasta's full name is Arthur Shasta Ragan Viwa Simvinder Kala Yiren.
Wow.
I'm not sure I can do it 3 times fast.
Give it a try. Earn yourself a solar XP. I was gonna say, try it. Earn yourself a solar XP.
My character is actually one of the Yenin from the Dreaming Sea. They're a group of people that have uncovered ancient technology from before the cataclysms that have ravaged creation that allow them to make children that have 10 fathers and 1 mother, and they tend to be weird eugenic super people. He definitely puts the philosopher in Philosopher King. He is traveling creation, unearthing ancient secrets, talking to wise gurus, learning everything he can with the goal of trying to understand the fundamental nature of reality. So no small feat there. The Yenin are known for their physical superiority. With Arthur Shasta, it's primarily in terms of physical appearance. He is not the strongest or most fit person, but he is probably the most beautiful. Like the sea that surrounds his family, his hair is grows in sort of a dark purple, and it sort of shades down to blue towards the tips. He neither cuts his hair or trims his fingernails, but they always seem to be sort of immaculate and pristine, never cracked or in disarray. He does not shave, but he seems incapable of growing facial hair. He is sort of tall and slim and build. When any sort of in city or urban environment, he tends to wear very vibrant single color underrobes with heavily patterned overrobes on top of them. Lots of jewelry when he's out in the wilderness, which is more often than not. He tends to just wear as practical and rugged clothing as possible, but he always wears heavy, big golden hoop earrings. Pretty much always seen with him is his familiar Johann, which is a strange creature that is descended from some sorcerously created variant of a dog in the first stage, called the Mundiaris. Like a bloodhound's ability to scent down living things, they can scent out geomantic irregularities in the area, dragon lines, hearthstones and manses, and can even go so far as to consume sources of geomantic power like a hearthstone to undergo metamorphic changes.
Nom nom. Can they, like, smell out hearthstones?
Can they what it?
Smell hearthstones?
Oh, yes. If now that's a blessing and a curse because sometimes they're attached to people who might not be friendly to us.
Next, we have the conquering Colossus himself, Kalis Kodan.
Kalis Kodan stands 10 foot tall, his shadow looming over the rest of the members of the gathered around a campfire. So if he's lifting in one hand, you know, the cauldron, the massive iron cast cauldrons, like stews and stuff will be prepared. He's managed to get hold of one of those and is tipping it into his mouth, eating from it with one hand, while looking at puzzlement in the strange cloth thing that Sagacious Hand storytelling seem to be like focused on. Creases are furrowing his majestic brow as no one could doubt his mood puzzlement. He's almost has a godly beauty to him. He's like a chiseled statue that the gods themselves have carved out of a mountain. Muscle features prominently on him, and he's wearing the garb of a gladiator with the skirt, the braces, the chest piece all sculpted to sort of accent is clearly place he heralds from the jungles of the east, with like jungle-like leaf motifs on them, perhaps prominent panthers showing in the yeah, I think that's pretty much Kalis at the moment. Is there any more questions?
Did we want to know anything about Kalis? You're going to keep that in the background.
I'm going to work on his backstory trailer, but yeah, Kalis would probably, if anybody, anybody that would ask what's your story, he will tell people the complete story of Kalis from his birth to present day. He just like telling stories. So,
and if it reaches a point where someone asks Kalis about his backstory, knowing what is about to happen, Sagacious Hand is going to go grab the puppets to stand behind him to be completing it as well. It's like, oh, it's story time. Let's go.
And he will do it in all seriousness as well. He's very passionate about the stories that he...
I imagine I have it all written down.
Most probably.
With the creation of your people's language.
He does sort of...
Sorry, go on.
He, it's very clear that he's a newcomer to the exuberant Excelsiors. Exuberant? I don't know. And he hasn't yet very sure where he stands. He's recently gone through several tribes, and this is his latest tribe that he's become a part of. Time will tell if these new tribe members will be a boon, a blessing, or a curse.
Oh. And lastly, Amela De Novo.
Abelard de Novo is a quiet man and an old man. He appears in his mid-60s. It's hard to gauge how precisely his body looks because he wears heavy robes. They're so weather-worn and ragged that their original purpose is more or less lost to time. He wears gloves on both hands. The leather is so worn and cracked that they look on the edge of falling apart, but never quite do. His face is old, scarred to the point of being somewhat disfigured. He has a prominent scar running from his brow to the lower end of his chin on his left side of his face. It didn't quite blind him, but it dug in deep enough into the mouth that he's missing both incisors on that end of his face. One of his ears is partially burned away, but it's mostly hidden under the cascade of long gray hair that he tries to keep organized, but he just isn't particularly gifted at grooming. He also has a beard that's about an inch or two long. And he himself is considered fairly nothing more than a kindly old man by most of the circus. He's considered fairly knowledgeable, respectable, but quiet, and he likes to keep to himself, which is problematic because he has the very profitable gift of prophecy. And Sagacious had figured out a long time ago that if he directs people his way, he will tell fortunes for a price. As for what he does with his time, you will mostly see him trying to drink tea in a quiet spot with mixed results. The only two things that you would notice as particularly interesting about him are the fact that he carries himself very easily. He doesn't seem at all as unhealthy or as aged as one should be at that point in their lives, just from his movement. And he's fairly tall, roughly 6 feet. But what you can tell when the wind catches is that he's very thin beneath his almost skeletal. And the only other interesting thing about him is the sword he keeps at his side, which is kept in a scabbard, but the hilt is partially gilded in what would seem to be gold, but it's a bit too bright and doesn't necessarily need light to shine at all. And the 3 bells that hang from the ring of the pommel, which are also of the same golden material. But that's about all there really is to say about him. That and his eyes are a very pale shade of brown.
Oh, so we've met our cast. We've described our colourful character. But as of yet, our wonderful viewers don't know what they're all doing together. What has been happening in this particular this game is taking place in an area known. And this area is not always at war, but always at strife, cross purposes. Each kingdom vies for dominance. Several decades ago, there was an incursion by realm troops from the far south that was pushed back by a combination of forces. And the 100 Kingdoms was instrumental in keeping them back. Unfortunately for the 100 Kingdoms, as fractured as they are at the moment, they seem ripe for the picking. for another power looming in the background. Vanaha in the south, a almost tyrannical type. Conglomerate of sort of tribes and led by, and our players have been brought together by a common element, an Exalted, who goes by the unsure root, the thrice pope, and his stated goal, all of this, is to reunite the 100 Kingdoms under either multiple banners in sort of confederacy, like the rivers, or under a single banner. It doesn't matter so long as peace. I need to up the gain on the phone a little bit because I'm picking up everything I'm saying. So as long as peace reigns, then he's completely happy. He's brought everyone together in a little slip of land in Bukshian, in an area called Lambert Heights. It was an old fort that used to be controlled by Vanaha, but during the war, a lot of its infrastructure was destroyed, and it became less of a fortified position worthy of holding, so it was pretty much abandoned. Unsure Root has moved in the meantime and has been slowly collecting like-minded individuals and mercenaries paid to do with the stated goal of trying to unite the 100 and push back the threat of Vanaha. For he fears that if Vanaha does control of the kingdoms, it would destabilize the area in a way that the 100 Kingdoms would never recover from, and peace would be impossible to make. So this giant caravan of people are slowly moving eastwards towards sorry, practice here. So Lambert Heights is basically situated on a large island situated in the middle of Nazi, two rivers that separate it down. Extra infrastructure has been getting built. Root has been doing a good job. Root has been doing a good job of getting infrastructure up again. He's been at this for a while and has enlisted the help of our 6 heroes here, among many, many others. But after their smashing success in Nexus, recovering Kalis Kodan, pits of Nexus to join their Brotherhood unity, going to become eventually for it. He has decided that they are going to form an elite group that sends on important and vital work. Excuse me one moment, I'm going to fix the threshold. Does that pick me up better? Yeah, that does. Okay, cool. Okay, I'll have to fiddle with those settings later. Unsure root of the thrice posed question. He is a older gentleman. He's not ancient. He's not wizened. He doesn't have sort of stark grey hair or anything like that. But he does seem to have a large amount of experience packed behind an otherwise slight and unassuming. He's constantly embroiled in his books and his writing, almost never seen outside of his study. He wears layers upon layers of the sort of cloaks and robes that have very traditional meanings to him, and they sort of are not really well suited for his particular type of role that he has given himself. The constant inking with his brushes has left these deep stains in his sleeves and along the hems of his robes. His long hair is sort of tied back into a single dropping ponytail, and extra frills hanging down around his face. He's not exactly a handsome face, not unattractive. The sort of squarish features common among the hundred kingdoms. He has introduced himself to each individual person and to everyone. An Exalted of Tension of the Awakened Eye. This has given him Exalted powers that allow him to capitalize upon his already sort of prestigious mind. He's very big in facts and figures and analytics and making sure that everything makes sense. And it was a epiphany that came upon him to start this large brotherhood centered on Lambert Heights, and his continued study of documents and ledgers that his mercenaries bring into his hands so that he can see the flow and the politics and the interest around. He sort of forms an almost informational hub of the area, giving him access to unparalleled knowledge and access to insights that would otherwise be inaccessible to anybody, simply by analysing information, the vast amounts of information that are placed before him, and sorting it all constantly and keeping it all in his mind. Once he's read a document once, he has memorised it and never needs to read it again, but he's constantly sort of etching out sort of thoughts and directions, pens in his journals that he keeps stacked all about him in this almost creative chaos. It isn't long after arriving back at Lambert, fortress itself still being reconstructed, the walls being built up, the foundations being relayed. You can see scaffolding everywhere. There's work crews helping out. The ebullient Excelsior has to sort of stay on the outside rims of Lambert Heights, but the island it occupies is large enough that it could be its own city-state, you know, were it to be farmable land. But as it is at the moment, it isn't. It doesn't have much in the way of resources. Simply its position, smack bang in the borderland of the Hundred Kingdoms and Vanaheim, divided by the entrails of the Nazi River. Unshore Root is also a little bit lame when he isn't sort of sitting down in his office and instead sort of wandering about the fortress area, walking to sort of think or to meet people and ask questions. He doesn't do much in the way of directing or he's no king. He exists more as a democratically elected leader. He just has the information, he has the knowledge, so it makes sense that people listen to him. And most of the people who have come here to Lambert Heights accept his direction because the most learned and the most divisive in his decision making, even if sometimes it takes him a little while to conjugate on all of to collect for himself. So as I mentioned, he's a little bit lame in his left leg, so he always walks around with this long staff, in real life known as a pakra. It's a long staff, just a little bit taller than him, about 6 foot. It's tipped with a large golden ring, with 7 other golden rings sort of hanging off it. So as he walks around, there's always this soft jingle, always preceding him as he walks around. You always know when he's, because you can hear him coming. And a little out of sorts, today he meets you at the gates of Lambert. So standing there, almost expecting your return at the exact moment. As soon as you see Lambert Heights come into view, and you start sort of arranging your wagons and caravans outside, a township might rise once the place is solidly situated. He sort of steps out into the open of the gates at that exact moment before departing and moving up. Very coincidental and dramatic, but it's the kind of thing you've come to expect from him. But this is the first time he's met you outside the bounds of his domains. He greets you all each in turn by name. Very polite, but you can tell that he's hurried, which usually means that he's come across something. And it doesn't take long for him to start rambling on facts and figures, things that he's seen, things that he's noticing. And it takes maybe 10 minutes of this circuitous language for him to finally get on point, unless someone decides to interrupt him and force him to sort of speak more directly. Yes, actually, sorry, Carlos, this would be the first time you have met him, but he has addressed you by name.
You have heard of me, then?
Yes, of course. It was I who sent the ebullient. It was I who sent the ebullient Excelsior to collect you from that abominable place and bring you here, so that we could do more good for the region. Do more good for the region.
Ah, I see.
If you are happy, of course, to join us here, then it would be most agreeable on all fronts, and I'm sure we can put your skills to the most efficient and agreeable front. What do you think?
I follow the chieftain of the ebullient Excelsior.
Ah, I see. So wherever Sagacious Hand goes, you follow.
For now, yes.
Well, that should make this a lot more industrious and easy, and yes. This will cut down on all sorts of troublesome things that we might come across.
Sagacious Hand slaps Kalis like an arm around his shoulders and interrupts. Unsure route. Are you expecting trouble?
Trouble here? Oh no. We're too well fortified. He sort of turns back and looks at the scaffolding and the construction that's taking place for any threats that might, possibly want to protect to present themselves. But no. There is a matter of most grievous importance that I need to send my best team out almost immediately. There has been trouble brewing for some time in one of the nearer kingdoms, and it has come to a fulcrum point. For you see, he launches into this example of a rock tilting on the edge of a cliff, being pushed by forces, both seen and unseen, and it's a little bit esoteric. It almost sounds like a folk tale, but anyone with at least 2 to 3 dots of lore knows that he's talking about the physical properties of. It's almost like in real life it would be almost like talking to a particle physicist and them explaining everything through their mathematics.
Kalis will, when he hears mention of rocks and pushing over, he will look for the largest boulder, and he will pick it up, and he will say, "Worry not, Kalis can lift boulder. This kingdom, I will help."
Excellent, excellent. And he sort of shakes his staff at you, the rings jingling about, making almost a musical sound. Excellent. Yes, yes, I love your enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm is great. Keep that up, keep that up, keep that up.
Kalis will then turn to Skish's hand with like a smug little smile on his face. "You'll see how likes me."
He does. He tends to like everyone. Not many people understand him, though, so good job. Enthusiastic thumbs up to Kalis, then looks at the rock questioningly and just kind of does the, like, throw it, man, throw it.
Yeah, he'll look to, like, his spy, probably one of the, like, lone trees that, like, bears fruit on this island. He will, like, look at it, take aim, and hurl the rock into it, dislodging some of the fruit, and then not so subtly wandering over and gathering it and sort of smacking on it.
So where are we going?
Yes, yes, of course, of course. I had it, and he starts sort of filtering through his robe, sort of pulling out notes left, right, and center. That scent of sort of fresh ink sort of pervading the air around him, almost as if he was wearing it as a. One moment. The kingdom is known as Kaldor. Once ruled over by King Alexander Marcus, and terrible things have started happening. The kingdom has fallen into disrepair. It was once one of the main bulwarks for back the forces of the realm and the forces of Vanahar, and its weakened state of the world. Vanahar lies. I'm sorry, we're just going to pause for one little moment while we get the Velklings under control.
Sorry, I am back.
Okay. Lorded over by King Alexander Marcus in Kaldor, once one of the bulwarks of the area, and certainly a force to be reckoned with when it was in its prime. But lately, the kingdom has fallen into disrepair. The good, kindly King Marcus has been making some very questionable business decisions, and I'm afraid that the 100 Kingdoms will suffer because of it. Just recently, a summit has been called. It seems King Marcus has put his kingdom up for sale.
You can sell kingdom?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Naturally, this would be a disaster. We can't possibly have one of the other kingdoms attending this summit take control. Who knows what they would do? Probably just sort of steal the resources. They don't really fully understand the threat that Vanahar poses. We need Kaldor at full strength. We need it to stand as a bastion on the border. We need it to. And he launches into another large explanation on the way rivers flow and rocks landed and thus diverting their flow, but smaller pebbles, just being swept along in the stream. So you see, it's quite the disaster. We need to get in there. We need to restore Kaldor to its former strength. But this obviously cannot be done overnight. It will need vast amounts of financial and infrastructural help. So I have a diplomat, Righteous Lotus, who should be joining us very shortly, and I need you to escort her to Caldor and make sure that none of the other kingdoms gain Marcus's favor, and that he accepts our proposal, or at least fix the problems that are in Caldor so that he doesn't need to sell in the first place. We need it in order, otherwise Vanaheim will surely strike there, and strike there first, and if Caldor falls, so too will the rest of the 100 Kingdoms.
But shouldn't we try to expedite his departure? If he's the one who has led them into such a ruinous state, why would we want to keep him in a position of authority?
It is so unlike his nature. If anyone was to stand firm against any force, King Alexander Marcus is the person we want sitting on that throne. He's not just a king. He's not just a ruler. He is a symbol. He is the man who turned back the tide of the realm invasion decades ago. We need him as a symbol, as a purpose, as everything. His son, Jonathan, would be a fine ruler, I'm sure, but he doesn't quite have the same. And he turns to Kalis and sort of just gestures at Kalis. That.
You just gestures to all of them.
Yes, that.
I make a note.
Yes.
I make a note.
You make the note.
I have a big question mark next to the said note. Figure out what that means.
Kalis will be still like scoffing on this fruit. Look slightly puzzled, but give a big grin and sort of flex his muscles like he was doing a show for Sagacious Hand. The crowd seem to like it in these tribes. So
what is it that King Marcus did to drive back the realm, and were all the other kingdoms involved in this, in the 100 Kingdoms? Like, I'm not from around this side of the East, so I actually don't know a lot about the history here. Are the 100 Kingdoms, like, did they all fight against the realm, or just this one spot?
No. You see, the Kingdom of Caldor used to actually be run by a separate noble family. You see, and King Marcus sort of married the youngest heir of this kingdom at the time through his exploits as a warrior and a general. With no other heir apparent, he naturally became the next ruler when his wife eventually passed on. He has a son, Jonathan, who I'm sure would be very capable, given another 10, 15, maybe 20 years.
Wait, how old is Jonathan?
Oh, he's, I believe this is his 18th year.
Oh. Okay.
But Marcus is who we want. Alexander Marcus is who we want sitting on that throne. He serves our best bet. Jonathan is a wild card. If we can't have anyone, if we can't have Alexander, then Jonathan would have to do. But we want Alexander Marcus.
Okay. How many other people are going to be trying to buy this kingdom? I'm assuming Vanaheim is going to try and buy the kingdom?
No. Vanaheim is not invited to this summit. They're not one of the 100 Kingdoms. There's likely to be 4, maybe 5 other representatives. I'm sure they are all well above board in their various forms of diplomacy, but I question their motives. I'm pretty sure that if in fact I am at least 70% certain that if any of them into ruin. They will just sort of reap it of all of its resources and leave it a ruin. And there will be no army, there will be no barrier, and Van Eye will just sweep through as soon as the opportunity presents itself.
So, hypothetically, how much does the kingdom go for nowadays?
Well, that is a very complicated question. Are you sure you're ready for the answer?
Yes.
It takes him a full 10 minutes to give you a full financial rundown of the kingdom. All of its resources as it has, its historical importance, plus its strategic importance. But given its current state, it's probably a little undervalued. And he talks about market rates and percentages and profit margins and things like that. Essentially, it's an astronomical price that would essentially indebt Caldor to whoever ended up purchasing it. It's not. Caldor itself isn't really worth anything. If someone was to buy it in this particular case, they would have to pour resources into it to let Caldor continue functioning. So essentially, this is who can give me the cheapest loan, rather than who can give me the lowest.
Wow.
In the time of this explanation, another person comes near. This, as Unsure Root had mentioned, Righteous Lotus. She's a, she has the slightly darkened skin and the olive eyes that we know as Asian. She clearly comes from that sort of ethnicity. She has very short, cropped, dark black hair, and that's sort of cut neat around her ears. Her casual attire is sort of that of. It's still upmarket, but it's certainly not noble. But you can see that she's sort of wheeling behind her a carry case of luggage, wherein she probably has a lot more diplomatic formal clothes. At the moment, she's mostly just dressed in a simple tunic and
Sagacious Hand immediately comes forward, hand outstretched, wonderful charismatic smile, and sweeps down to introduce himself to the lovely lady.
Yes. You must be Sagacious Hand. I've heard a lot about you. And your caravan. Are we taking the whole thing, or will a simple caravan?
Well, I don't know. It sounds like the Kingdom of Caldor has fallen on some hard times. Perhaps they might need some excitement. What do you guys think? And Sagacious turns to the rest of the collected group.
I don't think we're going to make much coin there based on the economics of the region,
It's not about coin. It's about making an impression. It's about bringing joy to people's lives.
I was going to say we could also influence the mob against a potential bidder. I know you don't. I know you see your circus as a source of mirth, but in this circumstance, it could be a very strong political wedge.
Probably help remind the rest of the people who are here to add loans that just how important Marcus is. So even if we don't necessarily succeed, not saying that you're not skilled, of course, to Righteous Lotus, but make sure that Marcus stays where he is. Influence everyone. Like, sure, everyone loan, but Marcus stays there. Yeah?
Tarala speaks up and is like, we could also use this as a way to actually generate interest into the area. Circus shows up there. All of a sudden, there's this big show. We could even make it a show about, history of the area, that sort of thing. Make it big display. Make the bidders realize how important it is and how maybe instead of trying to buy it, try and put resources in to make the kingdom better and more capable of defending it as it's been built.
The Sagacious Hen just looks like the proud, like, yes, everything, yes. Sounds like we've got a show. Sounds like we've got a show.
Yeah, yes. According to my calculations, if you take the whole retinue and put on a show, your probability of success rises at least 12%. Well, Righteous Lotus says, I suppose that's decided then. Which one of these would be mine?
You can ride on the elephant.
Fantastic. Just puts her suitcase towards you, then strides off.
Ooh. Well, good thing I chose the elephant. You know, chilly. Ooh.
I have one question.
Yes. Please, a question from Kalis Kodan, the Conquering Colossus. I'm eager to hear your wonderful cultish words.
Where does the man with the stone fit in this plan?
The man... Sorry?
The man pushing the stone off the edge.
Right, well, you see, the boulder was a metaphor for danger. And the cliff is and he launches into another 10-minute explanation about the cliff being, the current economic climate and the terribleness, and the boulder being, whatever might possibly pitfall everything, and that if it does fall off the edge, then, the valley below is the 100 rivers, and it would just wreak the 100 rivers, the 100 kingdoms, and it would just sort of wreak devastation. So we want to make sure the boulder doesn't fall off the cliff.
After the explanation, Caleb will smile and go, see ya talk. And look like not knowing me.
Anyone else?
Come on, Kalis, let's get better acquainted.
No idea what Kalis is talking about, but he smiles and nods and says, "Yes, exactly."
Sagacious Hand pats Kalis on the back and says, "Come on, I think we should get to know the diplomat a bit better that we'll be traveling with however long it's going to take for us to reach our destination."
What is
she doesn't seem quite fond of the idea of traveling with our group. So perhaps you should use some of your charms to persuade her of just how productive we can be.
I like the way you think. He picks, and she seemed to have dropped this. And he picks up the suitcase and sort of marches off in that direction. A man with purpose.
Does anybody else have any thoughts or plans to discuss prior to your departure?
Actually, yes. Does Unsure Root of the Thrice Posed Question have a book on the history of the area for Golden Heron, who is interested in the histories of areas, to be able to study and help come up with something that for the region? So, like the important historical events to understand what it is we're heading into more.
Well, he doesn't have a book, but he could certainly compile something. Keeping in mind that anything that he does compile will be heavily laden with like economic and numbers and numeracy, and as I said, like a person who physics speaking nothing but science speak and not knowing how to explain in terms other than what.
I feel that if I gave a book on particle physics to Golden Heron, that they would be able to decipher what it is we require. So that's fine.
I could certainly try.
Right. He can arrange for such writings to be brought to you. Was there anything else from anyone?
Could we get a list of the bidders?
Certainly can. And I will have that ready for you in our next session.
Fair enough.
How far away is this kingdom that we're going to?
Using the caravan, it will be a couple weeks' journey.
Okay.
In interest, Tarala, your kingdom is a further couple.
Okay.
So Kaldor is nestled in the mountains, a couple weeks down or south from where.
Yeah, she's probably going to make mention of that to Han, so to play up any makeup and stuff just in case.
Okay. Alright, so without further ado, I have a bit of grey text to give you, introduce you into the first scene of our first official session. Prologue. And we're just about out of time, so for those who are viewing this, we would normally only run 3 hours slot, just because of the time constraints, because we're 3 different corners of the world going on here. But that usually makes it sort of short and sweet. As for things like experience, I'll be hounding out experience not by session, but instead by objectives. Although everyone always has a chance of earning their solar experience. So without further ado, the kingdom of Kaldor spans the breadth of the craggy foothills of the Decian Mountains a few miles north of the capital. Mostly farmlands and lodges, Kaldor gains its wealth from the foodstuffs and lumber through, though your vantage from the stone road tells a land fallen on a hard time. The grasses have become less prevalent, the muddy slush of churning topsoil spreading further afield, the trees shedding their canopies of the season before the autumn. Following the road north, you pass several abandoned homesteads, the simple buildings falling into disrepair. Even those few that still had living occupants were dilapidated, the peasant folk packing what meager belongings they had held on to and beginning their long journey north along the broken path. Watchtowers dot the length of the route, also stand empty. No longer constantly manned or tended to, they have become home to carrion birds and other scavengers, their mottled feathers indicating that even they lack the sustenance to survive. This road you've been asked to walk was to be a 3-day journey. A 2-week journey from Lambert Heights, the place you've been calling home for the last 12 last year, and sheltered by unsure route of the thrice posed question. Closer to the central town, the castle and seat of power in the kingdom, people roam in large numbers. The roads are no better here. Carts trapped in muddy ruts, now abandoned, and their cargo dragged off through the moors. Farmland this close is tended constantly, and the workers, thinned and haggard, but striking the earth with what little strength they have left, scattering seed and sowing cuttings to promote more. Perhaps a futile effort, but the alternative was a useless withering away, and even worn, the people here wear the fierce determination to alter their fates. The smoke of many burning hearths arise above the craggy outcrops that form a natural barrier and shield Kaldor's keep from marching armies. Rounding the bend, the large town and its stone heart almost explode into view, suddenly revealed by a break in the foothill. It is tucked back into the embrace of sheer cliffs that break into caverns, the further you travel towards the mountains that dominate the skyline. Their peaks are bare, but soon to be tipped with the pure white of winter snow in the seasons to come, are instead framed by the black smoke rising from the town. Banners and heraldic paraphernalia still hang from parapets and iron poles throughout the town and castle, but even in the midst of civilization they are rugged and dirty. The streets throng with living bodies seeking refuge from the dying countryside, peasants coughing their hardships, wrapped in filth-soaked blankets and coats assaulted by the ever-present flies and rodents scurrying about so brazenly. As you pass across the threshold marked by the gaping doors set into the single stone wall circling Caldor's keep, you see the first signs of authority for miles. Guards are posted here, casually checking those who wished entry, turning away any more dirty peasants, but doing nothing to stop others who would steal entrance, sickness, or streets. As you are wearing clothes finer than Hessian and are not covered with stinking muck, they let you pass without trouble, though as you walk directly into the market stalls surrounding the entrance, someone else is causing trouble with no intervention of the parent. A band of 12 armoured warriors mill about the market stall, none more than a few feet from any other, but all arguing and haggling over prices, resorting to brute force extortion more often than not, and walking away without paying a single ducat for anything beside worth. And great.
And the guards are doing nothing about this?
The guards are doing absolutely nothing.
I'm gonna just boldly walk forward with Johan and strike a sort of, try and find a more as sort of central as I can to as many of these stalls, and loudly clear my throat and have Johan growl and like bristle his fur, and slowly take in and stare down at each of these thugs.
You manage to get all of their attentions as they turn and look at you. You can almost hear them laughing amongst themselves. Begin to sort of crowd around the area that you occupy. Their leader stepping forward, the only one not wearing a helmet. He's large, has deep sunken eyes, but with this heavy set brow. Big squarish features, a otherwise completely shaved head, although you see the smallness of the stubble starting to peek through. There, boys. What's this then? We got us some trouble?
I couldn't help but notice that you had forgotten to pay for these wares.
Forgotten? Oh, no, not forgotten. Not forgotten at all. Is there a problem with that?
Yes, actually.
Well,
I believe that we were in here because Marcus Alexander had put his kingdom and the things in it up for sale, not out for any pilfering punk to pick up and walk away with.
well, if it was against the law of the land, then surely there would be some kind of intervention. But, as you can see, there ain't. So why don't you take your little pet and bugger off?
Okay. Denovo's gonna also quietly come forward to stand by Francesca, and he's gonna straighten up, and like he normally carries himself kind of bent over, but he straightens up to his full height, and he alters his body language. He changes his body language back more to that of someone who's a hardened soldier, and he produces one of his prayer strips, and which carries the sigil of "Look shy" on it. It says, "And I take it you've clearly mistaken who we are."
To help back that up, Tarala rides up with on her horse, and just kind of leans over. Remember the big sword also like strapped to her back.
Killus, seeing his tribe mates stroll up, not really sure what the situation is. He flicks out a massive segmented sort of 6-foot-long staff, pulls it to his lips, and starts playing a tune, a call to war from his tribes to display strength and draw in the attention of all around as he marches on to join his colleagues.
Heron will, instead of joining the rest of the party, will do what any naive young girl would do that's read far too many romance stories and chivalrous tales. Will instead go up to the guards. And, I mean, they obviously are just somehow not paying attention or something like that. And just kind of timidly go up to them. Excuse me, Mr. Guard, sir? I think there's a bit of a commotion going on with your stalls and your vendors, and I fear even a few of my companions are starting to get involved, and I would hate for any illegal activities to go on, and you guys being the brave and noble guards you are, and knights and whatnot. I mean, could you help? With a actually, what do I even have for social stats? I know I have linguistics, but
while you're looking that up, Sand, are you doing it?
Yes, Sand's on top of his elephant, and so he directs some of the staff to raise the trunk up, and as he walks along the trunk like a tightrope, he calls down to the rest of his companions, especially at the words of De Novo over, "Do you know who we are?" It's like, oh, let's not make this a competition. We all know how horribly they lose. And he steps onto the end of the trunk of the elephant, does a double backflip in the air to land gracefully on the ground. "Sagacious Hand at your service. Pleasure to meet yours and everyone else's acquaintance, but see, I'm mostly concerned, not necessarily that you chose not to pay, but that you've come all this way to gather whatever it is you're gathering from these stalls, which makes me think that perhaps that you're not in a position to even afford them yourself. So, like, if you just want to tell me however much you guys owe, like, I can just settle it, just this one-time offer, just, if you're a bit down on your luck, we're all friends here, right? I know you, right? I know you, ball guy, yeah? He steps forward, hands out to try and just as charismatically as possible find out who this guy is who thinks he's going to walk in and buy stuff and not pay for it.
As Sagacious Hand does the entrance, Aelus's music will shift to complement it and add to the prestige.
So I confirm my social stats.
People making social influence roles and things like that here, or are we just...
I mean...
Is there a stunt for...
Sure.
I have the better, like, we have the better entrance than you, punk?
Well, yeah, that would be like Intimidate.
Or
plus
Inspire Respect?
You could go for that.
Yeah, I like to inspire the respect with everyone else. This is a display not for them, it's for everyone else that's here.
I have a whopping 1 success to try to persuade the guards to help out, because I have 1 dot of presence and 5 whopping charisma, but I don't have presence favored, so...
Tarala was definitely trying to use the fact that, like, being high up on the horse, the large sword, everything, just to kind of get them to back away. Like, it was just one of those things. But I was going to laden it with a little bit of essence.
Can't you snort smoke?
What?
Fire aspects.
What?
Well, remember, fire aspects can exhale smoke, so that would be an extra intimidating factor.
They do. They would have been a little bit coming from the nostrils, but I was going to activate the charm Glowing Coal Radiance, which is one of the new Dragon-Blooded Excellencies, which, unlike most Excellencies, comes with a little hanger-on. Glowing Coal Radiance can buy a success for 2 motes, up to half my presence, round up. Well, half my presence plus specialty, round up. Number of successes, which I spend 4 motes personal on. And each 10 I get on the roll allows me to roll an extra non-charm die.
Okay. So are we going for intimidation here, or just sort of...
just a little bit of intimidation, like get you to back away.
So an intimidation roll.
Yep. So that's Charisma 3, Presence 3, and I'm spending 4 motes to add 2 successes. And then, whatever the stunt would have been.
Okay, I'm going to have to teach you how to use the dice roller.
I meant you had it right the first time, except for the double greater than.
There wasn't
everything else should have a space.
As I saw.
Yeah.
I didn't hear. Did you say there was a 1-point stunt for that?
Yes, I'm giving everyone a 1-point stunt for their roll.
Okay. So
Fantastic.
8 dice.
I would like to...
Sorry, go on.
I would like to instill a feeling of... Oh, how do I explain this? I would like to rally the subjugated villagers or townsfolk to unite themselves behind us to see off this threat to their tribe. If that's okay with you?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. I will also be using 1,000 Courtesan's Way to make me appear very prominent as a prime specimen of my tribe to the ladies to entice them to find me appealing.
Oh no.
I want to make...
Someone's got this job, have they?
Yeah.
I'm going to make an instill shame roll.
I do not know this word shame.
Can everyone please note down the types of rolls that you're making in PMs to me, please? In the Discord? Because we are.
Elk, what is their collective or average resolve? Not to get meta, it's just that because I'm very pretty.
The goon's
I'm
resolve
also very
is
pretty.
2. The leader's resolve is...
Remind me how appearance works on...
So
if your appearance is... I was just going to say, if your appearance is greater than the resolve, you get to add the difference to your social rolls.
Nice. Ooh, non-charm dice. Nice.
Okay. Does anybody have any more dice rolling to do, or are we...
Yeah, I do. I'm just calculating it. Sorry.
Right.
So Sagacious Hand one is he's not necessarily trying to influence the bullies, though making a performance will have an inspire effect on anyone that happens to hit. But they're not the target of this. It's the crowd of people, the guards that are on duty. It's an inspire of the fact that whatever, like, I guess it's a kind of a double-handed of these guys who are, well, clearly either they're just assholes and aren't paying for it, or they're in a position where they can't pay for it. But we, at the Abulant Excelsior, like, you know, we are better than that. We are worthy of respect, and we are good people. So if you can't handle this, you know, we'll just pay this for you and call it even, because we aren't dicks. Am I right? Yeah, guards. Like, we're awesome. High five. Everyone have a good time. Let's go.
Cool.
So it's not about changing the minds of these people who are going to do the wrong thing. It's about everyone else that's around. Inspire them to be better.
Okay. If you're attempting to inspire or do social influence through general peasantry, their resolve is 1. So if you have a higher than 1, you gain the difference.
I might have to roll a few dice because Mark's like clearly aimed at instilling the townsfolk.
That's fine. As long as you note down what you rolled and everything. I mean, we can see it coming up in the thing. I need to work on the editing on that.
All right.
Did you say their resolve was 1, Elk?
The general peasantry resolve is 1.
Okay, cool.
Elk,
yeah.
After the rolls, since I wound up rolling 10, which then procced another 10,
yeah.
I got 6 dice rolled success and 2 bought successes.
Alright, cool.
I got 11 successes in total.
Alright, please, as I said, just note these down in the PM to me, and what you're targeting, what you're hoping to do.
In a PM or in the Invictwitch campaign?
A PM to me, please.
Okay.
All right, I'm PMing you right now.
Hey. So, our players have been brought together. They have introduced themselves. They have been given their next mission by unsure root of the thrice posed question in their quest to reunite the 100 Kingdoms under one or perhaps 3 banners. Who knows? A concordant, perhaps. And they have come across their first obstacle in this kingdom. Unbeknownst to them, the very people that they have come up against are the emissaries from Strong, one of the neighbouring kingdoms that is highly militaristic. Their leader is the Italian Auroch, Goron. Goron is a tower of force and might. If you hadn't already become accustomed to Kalis, he might have been the largest beast of a warrior you had ever seen. The thick features and square jaw make his face all angles and press it into the most permanent scowl. His head is shaved down to stubble. His chin remains perfectly. And that is where we will end the session.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Solid section,
Elk. Does anybody have any final thoughts or questions before we turn off the stream? Thank you very much to our wonderful viewers who decided to tune in and bear with us through the technical side of things earlier on, and then through our slight little prologue play. We'll be streaming again the same time next week. If you can catch us down below the Twitch stream. There's actually a timer to that our next stream that will tell you your local time, when we're next planning to stream. We're hoping to do this every week, of course, unless something significant comes up and delays us. If that is the case, I will be sending out information. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, either Plucky Hero or myself, Elkavash, on Twitter, we'll keep you all updated with what.
Yay!
Any questions or thoughts from the players?
I'm excited for the guards to fix all the problems for us. Yes.
I absolutely agree. I'm right there with Heron. Like, yeah, call the guard and say, hey, these guys are doing the wrong thing.
I'd point that out to the guards. We're the ones harassing emissaries. But
we have done no harassing. We, in fact, offered to pay for their purchases. We've been nothing but nice.
oh, and
I have been I was stirring stuff up a bit. I am not getting a gold star from our diplomat from today's session.
Elk, you might have missed what I said, but mine was an instill respect role for the nobles' religious authority to the peasantry. I forgot to.
You have religious authority?
Yeah, he was showing his prayer tag with the seal.
Just remember to put it in the PM to me because I'll need to pick that up next session.
Yep, I PM'd it.
Excellent, cool. So thank you all to all our live Twitch viewers, and thank you for everyone on YouTube who's decided to click on this and have a quick look at what we have to offer. This has just been session prologue. We start in earnest next week. So thank you very much. This is Elkovash signing off.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.